Bidding live at a real estate auction. What does it take to actually buy a house? What are their requirements? And we follow one particular seller to see how much he bought it for and ultimately how much money he made and what he did with the property. Let's dive into it. What's going on, guys? My name is William Dauria. If we're meeting for the very first time, I live solely off of passive income. I invest in single family, multifamily, and commercial properties. I invest solely for passive income through rental properties only, and we just went to a live real estate auction. And before we start, I want to tell you a funny story. So I had a buddy of mine with me, a real successful business owner. He's never been before, right? And I told him, I was like, hey, you want to go to a real estate auction? You want to come with me? Kind of like, see how I bid and see how things work. And he was like, yeah, I'm interested in looking. He goes, but I don't think anybody's going to show up. I was like, wait, what? What do you mean nobody's going to show up? He goes, I don't think that many people have that kind of money. Like, these are like, you have to show up on the courthouse steps. You have to have cash money, like in the form of like a cashier's check, in your pocket right there. There's no like dash for cash, which I thought it was funny. There's no dash for cash and coming right back in 10 minutes to pay. Like, you have to have all the money right then, right there. And he's like, I don't think anybody's going to show up. So we pull up to the courthouse, and this is what we see. This right here is all of the cash buyers at this one of 4 locations this day currently bidding on property. So when we get there, you can imagine that we're very taken back. There's over 100 people bidding against us, and these are all cash buyers. And what's crazy is, I'll show you this one more time. Every single one of these people are buying houses cash and potentially could be millionaire or multi-millionaire or above. Just look at them. You would never notice if you were just looking at them at Walmart, for instance. And just goes to show you that there's a lot of people out there with a lot more money than they look like. So their requirements are, whatever you want to buy, you have to have the cashier's checks in different denominations in your pocket. For instance, this, if you want to buy or if you want to bid up to $150,000 house, but you don't know if it's going to go for 130 or 160 or 170, what you do is you bring like a $100,000 check, a $20,000 check, a $10,000 check, a bunch of $5,000 checks, and a bunch of $1,000 checks, so you can kind of mix and match and say, okay, here's $167,000, because if you overpay, then they have to write you a check. And basically, that's how it's done, at least here in North Texas. So if you're interested, that's how it's done, guys. There is no hard money. There is no private money. They won't even accept cash. Like, literally, like, your trunk full of cash, not that we had trunks full of cash, they wouldn't accept it anyways, okay? But if you're interested to know, okay, well, when I get there, and what's the auction actually like, I took a short video. I'm going to tell you it's a minute and a half long. If you're super interested to know from start to finish, watch it. If not, you can skip a minute and a half. Here we go.
268.
For the sale.
269. 269.
The sale, you have to
270. 270,000 is the current bid. Do I hear any others? 271. 272. 272. 273. 274. 275. 280. 280,000 is the current bid. Do I hear any others? 281. 282. 283. 283,000 is the current bid. Do I hear any others? 284. 285. Sorry? 286 behind me. 287. 290. 291. 291,000 is the current bid. Do I hear any others? Going once, twice, sold. Sold. What's your name? What's your name?
Okay, so that's how the auction actually starts, but there's 3 houses that I went there, I looked at, and I assessed their values, and I stayed there because they went over what I was willing to pay. I stayed there to see ultimately what they sold for and I also followed these houses' journeys to figure out what did they sell for, if they sold it all, or what they rented for, so I know, are people actually making money at these auctions? Because here's the first property. Okay, this is a nice, respectable 4-bedroom, 4-bath house, 3,100 square foot. The ARV on this house is $325,000. So if you were to put this house on MLS, you'll actually get 6% less for the selling fees going to the realtors and such like that. So $325,000 minus 6% is like 6, 12, like $20,000, right? So like $300,000 is like basically what you would walk with, right? Except for this house sold for cash money, $292,000, and no pictures of the inside. The blinds were closed because I actually drove by and looked at it. So this was a 100% blind offer with a $10,000 spread if there was nothing to be done at this house at all. That was a little tight for my budget. This guy said he might have overpaid a little bit, but we're going to come back around to this one in just a minute because I'm going to show you what he did with this property. Okay, so the next one's in Whiteley, Texas, and this property appraised for $370,000 to maybe low $400,000, depending on what it looks like inside and the upgrades, amenities, and stuff like that, right? That's kind of like the broad range, right? So, like I said, you can't go inside, you can't see anything, you're bidding right there. What would you bid? Say $370,000 of the ARV. Think about this. What would you bid up to and be comfortable, being that you haven't seen the inside at all? Comment below, let me know, because this actually sold for, you ready for it? $362,000. Okay, and going off to the last one. This property is ARV. That's after repair value. We don't know if it's repaired or not because you can't get inside. It's $350,000. After sales commissions, your net, which you could put in your pocket potentially if it's up to snuff, is $320,000 is what you could walk away with, and it sold for $312,000 cash. But I want to rewind to the first property because the first property is the one that I was able to follow because the other two, they're nowhere. They're not being rented right now. There must be currently being rehabbed. They weren't sold recently in the last month since the auction. Like nothing's happened since on these two properties. So they could have been retained. Maybe somebody was buying it for themselves, which does happen. That's why you will get outbid as an investor because our people are literally showing up with the cash that they just sold their personal house for. So you can imagine they're definitely willing to spend more money. But on this first house, it was sold for $292,000. I just found it on GoSection8.com. Okay, that's G-O, the word section, the letter. Oh my gosh, that's how late it is. The number 8, so GoSection, the number 8.com, and it was just listed for $3,000 per month. And the great news for the owner, it was on the site for 4 days before it was rented. So he paid $292,000. He rented it for $3,000 a month, potentially turnkey because the house was only a handful of years old, and he got it rented in 4 days. So what I thought he overpaid for, and that's my opinion, I thought he overpaid, and he actually told me he overpaid too, but he actually was able to get out from under that thing very easily, was able to keep it rented, and when you rent through the Section 8 program, the stuff typically stays rented long term. And that is what it is like to go to a real estate auction, and that is what they are expecting you to show up with if you are interested in buying. Oh, and before I end this, I want to share a website with you because you're probably asking, okay, well, where do I go to find inventory at all till I know if I want to buy anything in the first place? And here is the website, www.foreclosure.info. Hope you enjoyed the video. Consider smashing that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I make several videos per week on real estate investing for passive income so you can live the life that you really want. Until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.